Good old EA not showing the cards. Back to somewhat a mode that I like, but also hate at the same time, and that's Ultimate Team. So, of course, my opponent is going to have much better players than me, obviously, because I don't spend money on this game. I don't spend too much time in this mode, but I'm going to get back into it. So, just seeing the lineman difference, of course, my opponent has an upper hand on me. But anyways, getting into this game, my opponent is USC. I'm Kentucky, and his offense wasn't crazy, right? So you're gonna find people that's typically gonna have a scheme on offense or decent on defense. They're gonna showcase one or the other if they're good at stopping the run or pass. Anyways, taking a look at this play, right? So I have my slot corner manned up. I don't know what he was doing here. And yeah, obviously there's coverage issues. We all know this. And 3rd and 24, I give up a big downage for a first down pickup. Kind of frustrating, but that's EA for you when you play Ultimate Team. And then you have moments like this where obviously you know who he's throwing it to, the guy in the middle of the field. And in regs, the safeties never play this, but in Ultimate Team, they play it. And of course, when I'm using LSU in regs, the safety is much better overall compared to this guy that I have at free safety. But yeah, it's just a weird thing where certain things work better compared to, the regs or ultimate team mode. It just doesn't make sense. But anyways, I end up getting a pick right here because my safety jumps the route and going back on offense. Now, I started out the game trying to figure out my opponent, so I usually always end up just doing this just to see what my opponents do because a lot of people play exactly the same way and they do the same thing. Thinking after spending so many years in Ultimate Team, you think people will change their ways. So, especially if people spend money, a lot of people are just dependent on their money bot team. Yes, it's more challenging playing people that spent money on their team compared to you not spending money and just grinding, but you can tell when they're really trash and not. So, obviously, this guy spent money on his team, so he's dependent on just playing man defense the entirety of the game. And it's crazy to see the game still continuing all these years with these same type of ultimate team players spend money on the game, they get the best team that they want, and they just depend on playing one type of defense. And it's usually this type of defense, just playing man coverage defense because they know that they have better players than their opponent and they can just send these type of defenses, which is kind of stupid. It's kind of glitchy in a way, but obviously if you have a better team, it's going to showcase a difference, right? So usually in man coverage or all out blitz defense, your opponent is always going to use the safety because obviously they're guarding the running back, or they're just choosing which side to play coverage on and lurk. So of course, see my opponent is lurking the free safety, and this is where you can toy with your opponent and then see the slight adjustments that they do when you do your own slight adjustments. So I started off with this base play, very basic. Just, of course, to get idea what he likes to run. So obviously, he's going to come down, try to lurk the drag route by the tight end. And then I have a streak by square, and then triangle is on angle route. So I got three options. He has to choose one. So, of course, whatever he decides to do, I'm going to elect to throw to the opposite receiver. So, of course, he's coming down. I already got the guy beat at corner, so I'm going to chuck a deep. Of course, I end up catching it. Sometimes you get those 50-50 opportunities, catch it or drop it. This time, he ends up coming way down. He's going to play the tight end and then look back to the angle route. So, of course, I'm going to hit the angle route because I got leverage. You get off quick, you can get some easy yards. Then you're going to start seeing slight adjustments. So, obviously, right here, he puts his left defensive end into a flat to cover the tight end to help him out so he can lurk towards the running back. So, of course, he is very dependent on his corner to play coverage, especially if he shades over top. Corner's going to play it much better, which he does here. So, of course, I only have one option or two. And the second option is, of course, taking off with the quarterback. Now, I don't have a mobile quarterback, so I have to be careful with it. Then he plays decent coverage here. He had glued man coverage. You're going to have a lot of times where you do have your opponent having man coverage glued like this. So obviously, I got to change something up, right? So once he makes the changes, I make the changes. So I go to my handy dandy 5 wide scheme. Now, there isn't a specific 5 wide formation that I like to run or a specific play. Now, I can run any formation that's 5 wide in any play because I'm just basically doing adjustments and making my own routes. So, there's really no money play. It's basic, especially playing people that are basic like this player. Now, it does help finding specific plays with certain route combinations, so it helps you from making so many adjustments at once. In this play specifically, all I have to do is make one adjustment at a time. Also, this play beats any coverage. You're just basing it off reads, who your opponent is using, and you want to have the correct route combination. So, of course, I have a double route move by the tight end, which is X. I got 2 short routes, which is by circle and square, and then deep fades, basically streaks by R1 and triangle, the slots. So, right off the bat, I see my opponent is using a strong safety. He has to pick between one or the other. Guarding R1, going on deep, or guarding X on a double post route move. And, of course, this makes life easier. Now, when you're playing people that sit in man, and you can sit in 5 wide, another thing that makes it easy is, when they're pressing off, who's automatically going to be open. As well, you can tell if they're going to share the coverage. Playing people like this is so easy, but people make things more difficult than it should be. Now, I do take a risk throwing to a slow receiver who makes a catch on a top tier DB. You got to take those 50-50 chances because you never know what can happen. Now, my defense playing pretty solid. I end up forcing him to throw an interception right before he ends up getting close to the end zone to score a touchdown. So now I got momentum. I'm breaking away. I told you guys this in the past that my defense wins most of my games. My offense is just there. So get the ball, go down into the red zone. I'm still running 5 wide. So obviously he is still running man coverage, 2 man under. And right here is another thing to take a look at. Especially if you have a mobile quarterback, it makes things easier. Of course, I don't have one, but I have a decent guy that can get out there, move his feet if need to be, but he's more so a pocket quarterback. There's no QB spy. A lot of people that play man coverage would send 3 down linemen, QB contain at the most, and then have a QB spy at the same time, just for purposes like this. So I scramble and up scoring. Now, this is the typical way a ton of people, I want to say 100% of people play like, because the fact that I'm still facing Ultimate Team players that play like this blows my mind. Now, this is just typical lurking. A lot of people play like this. Of course, I'm going to lurk the inside. He has a levels concept, double in routes. I'm going to lurk back to the outside receiver, which obviously he's going to try to hit because I lurked too long with the initial in route receiver by me, and I end up getting a user pick. Nothing crazy. Now, I'm not going to lie, regs, a lot of people hit that first initial read, but I know I got help if they do make that first read to throw the ball to, because I have a guy right there in kind of like a quarters to flats, and by the time they throw him the ball late, he's only getting like 3 to 4 yards. Anyways, back on the offense, now he puts that QB spy, he sends 3, he's going to use the free safety, but this is all I need to see. You can tell right off the bat, taking a look at square, he's playing underneath, so he shades his coverage underneath. Of course, not all DBs would play that type of shade, but you get to see how basically everything is playing out, right? So X is going to be another option on, this specific play because it's a double post route move. He's going to get open. Of course, I end up dropping it, but when I'm making my pre-snap reads and right when I snap the ball, I'm taking a look at who my opponent's using, if he's going to use the right safety or the left safety. So this time, I actually flipped the play, doing the same exact thing, just flip. Now he's going to use the strong safety because it's flipped, so he wants to lurk towards the tight end. So obviously, He knows that he was open last play, so he's going to try to lurk him. And this is where you have another option. This is why you need to find specific plays that you know that's going to be guaranteed man beaters. Especially press, even though this is top tier DB. Slot fade streaks is pretty money in this game. So obviously that's who I'm going to try to connect with. Especially if they press inside, you got leverage outside. But of course he has recovery speed, so he knocks the ball away. Then he's going to use the free safety here because I flipped the play back to regular. And he shades outside. Of course, I'm going to get the inside leverage. So this is where it's just, pick and choose and taking your time and picking your opponent apart with ease. So I end up connecting with my tight end. And then same thing. He's going to try to lurk from the slot to the tight end because the tight end was open. He knows that his guy can't cover him. So, of course, I got another fade route, which he ends up shading underneath because you see both R1 and triangle get open over top. So clearly he shades underneath. And I'm throwing inside to triangle over top. That's a dot. I mean, guys, this is easy. Now he switches to his final go-to, which is mid blitz, which 100% of people run. And this is just making things easier. So now, at this point, is just toying with my opponent. So I can run a short hitch by circle on the right side, and then a deep hitch by square on the left side, depending on if he's going to press or not. So, of course, he's not pressing. I'm going to throw a square. That's an easy pickup gain. Because right when they stop for a 10-yard, the cornerback is turning his hips, thinking that he's going to run a streak. You know why I know this is because I've run this a billion times because people run so much of mid blitz. So of course I connect with them and obviously I drop the ball. Now he's still going to stay pressed off coverage. This is where I can toy around with route combinations. Because he's pressed off, I'm going to throw a drag route. So I reroute square to a drag route and throw it quick. Boom. That's easy yardage. Now he's going to continue to do the same thing, but I'm rerouting circle on the drag. Now that I'm having the post collide with this corner that's guarding a circle, I can have easy blocker to help block in a way and pick up yards. So that's what happens here. Able to pick up a first down. So now he goes back to his two-man under because obviously he can't send pressure because he knows I'm going to throw it quick. So at this point, he doesn't know what to do. So go back to running the same thing. Double route move by X. Gets open. I'm going to hit him. Now the next play, obviously I end up throwing the pick because I already anticipated X to be open, but he does shade his coverage inside. As you guys can see by his corners, taking a look at circle, square, triangle. They're slightly inside, even R1. He's slightly inside. Of course, he gets beat over top, but he's using the free safety, so the strong safety is going to be there to help, so I don't want to throw that. But I already anticipated X to be open. I didn't rely on his shaded coverage inside, so I thought he wasn't going to adjust. So he made that simple adjustment, and I ended up throwing the pick. So you're going to have those moments, but obviously it's 28-0. I'm not too worried about him coming back because he can barely get downfield. So, of course, battling EA, I end up dropping the pick there, then get a sack here. And then, obviously, I know what he's doing because you guys see I'm guarding the slot. My dumbass kept running straight because I thought by the time he was going to throw it was going to be just a chuck and pray. But, of course, he waited until he cuts out the first down marker. And, obviously, I have a corner right there, but he's in deep coverage. He already turned his hips, so obviously he's not going to see what's going on because his head is turned out of the way. So he ends up converting this. But it doesn't matter because the very next play, we get pressure, disrupt the pass, and get a pick. And then at this point, he calls it quits. So, yeah, I'm going to start breaking down more of these matches just to showcase what goes on in these games. But this is simple, man. Now, obviously, you guys may seen videos, how to stop 5 wide. Everything is stoppable, but you cannot play like how this guy plays, where he just doesn't really do anything at all to stop it. He sits in the same thing, makes probably 2 or 3 adjustments, but it's just coming down to the user and what happens based off adjustments. A lot of people just don't adjust whatsoever. And obviously, this guy's dependent on his money bot team, and you guys see the outcome. So, yeah, it's very interesting playing these type of players, but face them all day long, and this is the results you get. So, I'm just trying to showcase to you guys what I face and give you guys a better insight of my mindset and breakdown of my point of view going about these matches. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Let me know what you guys want to see more of. Until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.